Welcome to another episode of Preps Plus Extra, the Journal Sentinel's online high school sports show. Hi, I'm Mark Stewart, prep editor of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Joining me as always, J.R. Ratcliffe, sports editor of Now Newspapers. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're at level 3 of the football playoffs now. This is where the really, really good teams are sort of separated from just the good teams. Of course, there's always a couple surprises along the way, and this year's no different.
Yes, and it starts in Division I, where number 1 seed Oak Creek is gone, number 2 seed Franklin's out, and in that southeast corner of the bracket, we have Lake Geneva Badger and the defending state champs Kenosha Bradford, who somebody said last week didn't have a chance of making it. I don't know.
I don't know if I was that strong about it. I thought Oak Creek had a really good chance to get to the state championship game, but kudos to Bradford. We talked about sometimes in a rematch, you can make up a lot of ground in a short period of time. They had won 4 straight games, and clearly they improved enough to be able to beat Oak Creek, beat them on a last-second touchdown pass from beyond midfield, no less. So it was a really exciting game.
Yeah, I was just messing with you there because I also said that Oak Creek was going to win that game.
There you go.
So
what do we know?
Yes, the people in Bradford, Kenosha, hey, you stuck it to us.
Yes, absolutely.
But the other surprise in that part of the bracket, Lake Geneva Badger, in their final regular season game, they lost and only scored 3 points to Waterford. Mm-hmm. Then they beat Muskego by 1 point. Then they come out and really play strong against Franklin last week. It's one of those teams that really, they've overcome some injuries this year. They've had a ton of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Their coach says they've had during the regular season, I believe they didn't have their offensive line changed every week. I believe they have about 13 guys out with injury. So, that's one of those teams that, at this time of year, they're winning just because,
right.
They got that, sometimes it's not the players, it's the chemistry they got going on.
Yeah, and they do have one of the better playmakers in the area, and their quarterback, Peter Crane. He's been putting up numbers for a lot of years, and obviously this year's no different now that they're in level 3. Yes,
they run that option down at Lake Geneva Badger. So if your people out there are familiar with the old days of the Classic 8 with McGuanago, it's pretty much the same offense. Matt Hensler, Keith Hensler's son, is the head coach down there, and they've been running that really well. They got I think Crean's a 3-year starter.
Mm-hmm.
That said, speaking of Crean, Matt Hensler and Lake Geneva Badger, let's hear what they have to say, not only about their offense, but about moving on in the playoffs.
It worked pretty well tonight, especially again with a senior kid who's played about 1,000 games of varsity football. It's put the ball in that kid's hand any day, no doubt about it.
How neat is it to have another home game?
It's awesome. I was just gonna say, how cool is that? Second time in the last several years we've been in round 3, and it's a great feeling all around. Great feeling.
It feels incredible. We've been waiting a long time for this, and all that time we put in the off season, it's finally coming into play. It's awesome.
I guess seeding-wise, you guys would be considered the underdog. Did you guys feel like that at all?
No. We know we can play with any team in the state. We know we're capable of doing anything we put our minds to.
Well, now let's take a look at the Division II bracket for the area. What stands out to you there?
That big battle, Whitefish Bay, Brookfield East. We talked about this as a potential battle ever since we saw the release of the playoff pairings. Bay is the 2 seed East, undefeated Greater Metro Conference champs. Bay co-champs in the North Shore. These two teams met last year and Bay won. Bay brings a lot of people back, but East has improved. Quarterback Zach D'Amico wasn't with the team last year. He's been a huge catalyst for them this time around. So I would expect that's going to be an absolute barn burner. Really, I think for me it's very tough to choose who's going to win that game.
Right, that's one of those matchups where, last year we made the mistake of looking at what Oak Creek did to Bradford in the first matchup, and you really can't this year. This time you can't look at what Bay did to Brookfield East last year, right. Even though a lot of these same players are back, and to get an indication of what's going to happen this time. You got two senior laden teams that it's one of those matchups that if you probably could raise the price of tickets and still sell out the building. The other game that stood out in that part of the bracket was Watertown going to Waunakee.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what Waunakee, the great tradition, powerhouse every year. Watertown, the quarterback, Tarek Yagi, 562 yards last week.
Not bad.
Yeah, 7 touchdowns. 3 of his receivers had more than 100 yards in receptions.
And he wasn't just piling up numbers. Waukesha West was up 19 at halftime, so they needed to go on an offensive surge, and that's exactly what they did. What a tremendous football player that kid has turned out to be. He's clearly one of the best quarterbacks in the state, if not the best.
Yes, I was going to say that was one of those performances that if that makes you an all-state quarterback.
Right.
I haven't talked to anybody about what's going to happen at the the all-state meeting, but when you can put 562 yards up in the playoffs against a program like Waukesha West, that really says a lot about the quality of your play. So that's Division II. We also have some games in Division III. Let's take a look at the bracket.
To me, this is the most loaded division in all of the in any of the 7 divisions. You've got 3 number 1 seeds. Any one of them could win the state championship. West Appear will be favored, but Monona Grove and Wisconsin Lutheran are both powerhouses. WAPAC is there every year. Mount Horeb Barneveld has a great team. Plymouth is undefeated and is one of the best teams in the state. Medford is from the greater part of the north, so I don't even know a lot about them, but they have a tremendous record. And then you've got Catholic Memorial. We talk about them and how great they are every year. They just shut down an undefeated Pewaukee team, won 21-0 in Level 2, and they've made a habit of upsetting teams in the playoffs before. I'm really interested to see how they can hang in against Wisconsin Lutheran.
Yeah. In Wisconsin Lutheran, obviously they made the state final last year. Just loaded with individual talent that has come together really well. Ken Reed, the All-State defensive lineman, Adia Bell, running back, linebacker, London Townsend, receiver, defensive back. So yeah, that's another one of those matchups where if thankfully the games aren't at the same time. We talked about Brookfield East a minute ago. Wisconsin Lutheran. Oh no, actually, I stand corrected.
Both on Friday,
yes.
7 o'clock.
I wish I could be in 2 places at one time for that one. But that said, let's hear what Catholic Memorial coach Bill Young had to say about facing Wisconsin Lutheran this week.
Looking forward next week. Wisconsin Lutheran's got a great team, a lot of talent. We're definitely the underdog, so we'll see. We're just going to give our best effort. Oh yeah, without a doubt, they are the favorite. They're a great team, so we'll see. We're going to give it our best shot.
Well, this week we'll give Coach Bill Young the last word on Preps Plus. For more Preps Plus action, you can watch me and my other partner, Lance Allen, every Sunday night on today's TMJ4. Till then, take care.